Do you know what the business equivalent of I love you is? It's when someone walks up to you and says, you are exactly who I've been looking for. I need you. When can we start working together? But for that to happen, you need a great offer and a great pitch. The name of this video is the one-word offer and the two-word brand. My name is Mike Koenigs. If you don't know who I am, I help business owners and entrepreneurs build world-class brands that create impact and income without compromising your freedom, family, or lifestyle. And for years, I've been obsessed with a big idea. What are the fewest number of words, or what's the shortest story that can be told for someone to raise their hands and be motivated and inspired and influenced to want to do business with you? So just to create a little bit of framework and context here, I do a podcast with Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach. It's called Capability Amplifier. And we were about to record a new episode of our show, and I had just gotten off the set of a program called Elevator Pitch. It's like Shark Tank with a heart. It's produced by Entrepreneur Magazine. I told Dan about an investment I had recently made in a company called ClickedIn. This company does LinkedIn automation. I was super excited about it. And at that time, I turned to Dan and I wanted to do an episode about great pitches. So I turned to Dan as we started recording and I said, Dan, what's the best pitch you've ever heard? Dan turned to me and he said, I'm not going to answer that question. I was like, what? And he said, no, I'm going to tell you the best offer I've ever heard. It's a one-word offer. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know, the clouds are going to open up. We're going to have the second coming. This is awesome, right? Well, Dan is a huge history buff. And he started out and he said, okay, the year was 48 BC. The Romans ruled the earth at that point. And the way the Romans grew is they'd conquer. So they'd conquer a country, they'd conquer a land, they'd absorb it, and then they would train the boys to become Roman soldiers, and they'd continue that practice all over the place. And if you're a good soldier and you survived, you would be rewarded with around 40 acres of land. Now, at that point, if you had land, you had land rights. If you had land rights, you had voting rights. If you had voting rights, you had human rights. And to be a Roman was really the pinnacle of society at that time. You had a common language, a common currency, you had democracy, and of course you had water, and you had land, and you had roads too. And it was a culture. It was a powerful culture, and again, that's about as good as things would get back in those times. Well, what had happened though is Rome had promised and conquered some Germanic peoples. They had promised them the big prize, but they hadn't been rewarded. So this Germanic group who was marching into town, and at the last minute, Julius Caesar stands up and he shouts one word. What's that word? It's civitas, which means citizenship. Julius Caesar granted all those people citizenship at that moment, and that one word meant something. And the point of the story is you need to create context. You need to create some language pattern, a series of stories, the fewest number of words for someone to understand what it's like to be part of your tribe or to be a client or a customer to you. Well, at that point, Dan turned to me and he said, that's what I want. I want you to create Civitas for Strategic Coach. Use that technology platform you just invested in. Help us craft that story, because one of the biggest challenges every business has, if you've got 10 salespeople, they're telling 10 different stories. And if you're the founder of the business, most likely you have the highest conversion rate of storytelling to getting people to want to do business with you. But how do you self-replicate? So the point of this is, how do you create that moment? Now, I'm going to give you another big idea, and it's something I call the two-word brand. So again, just to create a little bit of context for you, I'm going to share a couple names with you right now. You'll look at them and think about how they make you feel and the story that pops up when you see them. So let's begin with the first one. How about Oprah? Elon? Branson? Buffett? The Stones? Right? All those mean something to you. You might have You either like them or you don't like them. I could say Gaga. There's Bezos, many others. How about Ferriss, Tim Ferriss? Well, all these people have a story behind them, and to be part of their tribe is meaningful. But I'm going to show another name to you right now. Max Martin. You ever heard of him? Look at the picture. Would you recognize him on the street? Well, maybe you would now. He's standing next to Justin Timberlake. Now, it turns out Max Martin has anonymity, but the people who need to know him know him. Why? Because he's written over 200 hit songs. He's number 3 just after Paul McCartney and John Lennon for number 1s. And he's written for Adele, Celine Dion, Britney Spears. He's worth over $300 million. And in addition to having practical anonymity, the ability to walk down the street, and a huge net worth, only the people who need to know him know him. So let's take a look at a few of the songs that he's written, aside from That's the Way It Is by Celine Dion, I Kissed a Girl, Oops, I Did It Again by Britney, Raise Your Glass, Shake It Off. Take a look at these, okay? Here's Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, Ariana Grande, Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, Nicki Minaj, Jessie J, Backstreet Boys, Pink, Kelly Clarkson, Khalid, Bon Jovi, Maroon 5. Again, over 200 songs with a net worth of over $300 million. And what's the point of the story? Well, it's my opinion that any business owner can build a substantive brand that is meaningful to the audience that you need to communicate to. You can become something I call a category of one. And by crafting an amazing civitas moment or civitas story and crafting a brand that's meaningful to the people that you want to be meaningful to, you can also enjoy anonymity, a huge net worth. And that is the big vision of what I do and an invitation that I have for you. And that is, if you want civitas and a one-word brand, I've put together a couple case studies and stories and another free video for you. And you also have an opportunity to learn more about how to get you promoted in a top publication, build that category of one with the lowest amount of infrastructure, something simple and elegant and fast. So if that extra video is something that's interesting to you, I will show you a place to go to right now, and that is right here. It's at paidforlife.com/superpower. And to finish, my name is Mike Koenigs. I help business owners and entrepreneurs build world-class brands that create impact and income without compromising your freedom, family, or lifestyle. Thanks for watching.